Los Angeles. Main Street Athletic Club, February 1968. Thursday afternoon. The air smells like leather, liniment, and sweat. This is a boxing gym. Old school, 2 rings. Heavy bags hanging from chains. Speed bags, framed photographs of champions covering the walls. 40 fighters training. All serious. Bruce Lee stands near the wall watching a middleweight work the bag. 27 years old. 5'7", 135. Black pants, white shirt. He's here to observe, to study how boxers move, generate power, manage distance. Bruce studies everyone. All movement contains lessons. Bruce moves to an empty space, begins shadow boxing. His stance immediately stands out. Sideways, narrow feet, straight punches, mobile footwork. Nothing like boxing orthodoxy teaches. Eddie Malone notices from across the gym. 70 years old. Gray hair, weathered face, showing every year. Boxing legend, 45 years in the sport. Trained, 3 world champions. His word here is law. Eddie watches for 30 seconds, professional disapproval on his face. He walks toward Bruce, slow but purposeful. Fighters notice. When Eddie Malone approaches someone directly, it means correction is coming. Eddie stops 10 feet away, crosses his arms. Bruce feels the presence, stops, turns, makes eye contact. No hostility, just respectful attention. Eddie speaks loud enough for nearby fighters to hear. Your footwork is completely wrong. Fighters, stop. Turn. Watch. This is a master telling someone they're doing it wrong. Bruce says calmly, wrong for what? Eddie steps closer. Wrong for fighting. Your stance is sideways. Feet too narrow. Off balance, can't generate power, can't defend against a real punch. Everything you're doing violates basic boxing principles. More fighters gather. When Eddie corrects technique, it's educational. Bruce says, I'm not boxing, I'm doing martial arts. Eddie shakes his head. Call it what you want. Against a real boxer, that stance gets you knocked out. First real punch, and you're finished. Bruce asks with genuine interest, you think a boxer would beat me because of my footwork? Eddie nods firmly. I know it. 45 years in this sport. I've seen every style, every trick. Boxing footwork exists for a reason, tested for over a century against real fighters. What you're doing doesn't work when someone's actually trying to hurt you. Subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video, and comment. More true Bruce Lee stories are coming. Bruce asks, would you test that? Eddie raises an eyebrow. Test what? Bruce says, your belief that my footwork doesn't work. Let me show you. Eddie turns, calls across the gym. Tommy, come here. A fighter walks over. Tommy Brennan, 6'2", 210, light, heavyweight, 26 years old, 8 years at this gym. Good boxer, fast hands, fought professionally 15 times, 112, legitimate fighter. Eddie gestures at Bruce. This gentleman thinks his footwork is effective. I think it's wrong. Demonstrate proper boxing against him. Light contact. Show him why orthodox stance works. Tommy looks uncertain. Coach, I don't want to hurt anyone. Bruce says, you won't just try to hit me. Use your boxing. Show me why your way is correct. Eddie nods. Light contact. Controlled. Just demonstrate the principles. 20 fighters form a circle. Tommy drops into orthodox stance. Left foot forward, hands up, guard, tight. Textbook form. Bruce stands relaxed, narrow feet, sideways, hands loose. The contrast is stark. Eddie says, "Tommy, show him why that stance is vulnerable. Use your jab. Demonstrate range control." Tommy starts moving, testing distance, throws a jab. Fast, proper form. Bruce's head moves 6 inches. The jab passes through air. Tommy resets, throws harder. Bruce moves offline. Minimal movement, misses. Tommy throws double jab. 1-2, sharp. Bruce slips, both. Perfect timing. Tommy stops, resets, throws jab to set up, right cross. The jab misses. The cross is committed. Bruce steps forward. Inside, the punch. Too close for Tommy to reset. Bruce's right hand extends, open palm, touches Tommy's solar plexus. Gentle, just placement. Bruce's left hand touches his jaw. Still gentle, still controlled. Bruce steps back. 12 seconds. Tommy threw 6 punches. All missed. Bruce demonstrated 2 openings. Both would have ended it with real force. The gym is silent. Bags stopped. Ropes stopped. 40 fighters watching. Tommy breathing hard from surprise. His best boxing just got neutralized by footwork. Eddie said was wrong. Eddie stands still, face showing nothing, 45 years of composure, but his eyes are different, narrowed, thinking, reassessing. He walks between them, looks at Bruce. "Do that again, slower." "I want to see what happened." Tommy throws a jab, half speed. Bruce slips it. Eddie stops them. "Show me your foot position." Bruce demonstrates, lead foot angled out, creating channel for the punch. Rear foot pivoted, changing center line. Eddie studies this, walks around Bruce, looking at angles, weight distribution. He says to Tommy, "Throw the right cross." Slow, Tommy throws. Bruce steps inside. Eddie stops them. "Your feet." "Show me." Bruce demonstrates. Lead foot steps forward and outside, offline from trajectory. Rear foot follows, maintaining balance. Eddie crouches down, looks at Bruce's feet from ground level, studies the positioning, stands slowly. "You're generating power from different mechanics, not rotating hips, like we teach. Whole body connection. Linear drive." Bruce nods. "Yes. Different system. Same goal. Power transfer to target." Eddie is quiet, then says something that surprises everyone. "I was wrong." Fighters stir. Eddie Malone admitting error is rare. Eddie continues. "I said your footwork was completely wrong. I should have said it's completely different. Different doesn't mean wrong if it works." He turns to the fighters. "What we just saw violates every principle I've taught for 40 years. According to boxing orthodoxy, none of that should work. But it did, against trained fighter using proper technique. I need to understand why." Eddie looks at Bruce. "Would you show us more? Explain the principles." Bruce says, "I'd be honored, but I'm not saying boxing is wrong. Boxing is excellent. Proven. I just use different tools for different situations." Eddie nods. "I've spent 45 years believing there's one correct way to stand, one correct way to move. You just showed me that belief has limits. I need to know what those limits are." Over the next hour, Bruce demonstrates, not fighting, teaching, shows how his footwork creates different angles, how his stance allows faster transitions, how narrow base increases mobility at cost of pure power, but how that trade-off works for his size and speed. Fighters watch, ask questions. Bruce answers, technical, specific. No mysticism. Just mechanics, body positioning, timing. Eddie asks most questions, tests concepts, has Tommy demonstrate counters, finds weaknesses. Bruce acknowledges them honestly, explains when his approach works and when it doesn't. By the end, Eddie understands Bruce's system is optimized for different problems than boxing solves. Not better, not worse. Different, useful in different contexts, against different opponents. Eddie extends his hand. Bruce shakes it. Thank you for the lesson. I learned something important today. Bruce says, so did I. Watching your fighters showed me things about distance management I hadn't considered. Eddie smiles slightly. First smile of the afternoon. Mutual education. The fighters return to training. The gym returns to normal rhythm, but something has changed. Not dramatically, just a quiet shift. An acknowledgement that excellence exists in multiple forms. Tommy approaches Bruce before he leaves. That thing you did, stepping inside the cross. Can you show me again? Bruce shows him, breaks it down step by step. Tommy practices, gets it wrong. Tries again, starts to understand. Other fighters drift over, want to see. Bruce shows them. Patient, clear, no ego, just teaching anyone willing to learn. Eddie watches from across the gym, sees his fighters learning outside his system. 40 years ago this would have bothered him, threatened his authority. Today he just observes, considers, grows. That night, Eddie sits in his office, writing in his training journal, something he does every day. Records observations, techniques, lessons. Today's entry is different. Saw something that challenged 45 years of belief. Small man with sideways stance. According to everything I know, shouldn't work. But it did. Against Tommy. Clean, efficient, undeniable. Need to understand why. Maybe my system isn't as complete as I believed. Maybe there are principles I haven't learned, even at 70. Old dog, new tricks. Over the next 5 years until Bruce's death, in July 1973, Eddie occasionally integrates concepts from that afternoon, not replacing boxing, enhancing it, teaching fighters about angle creation, linear attacks, footwork variations for different situations. He never calls it martial arts, just additional tools. His fighters become more adaptable, more complete. Tommy fights professionally for 6 more years, retires with a good record, becomes trainer. When he teaches footwork, he shows orthodox stance first, always. That's the foundation. But he also shows alternatives, shows how different body types might benefit from different approaches, shows what Bruce showed him that Thursday afternoon. Knowledge spreads quietly through the boxing community. No publicity, just fighters teaching fighters what works. The story becomes gym legend. Eddie Malone admitted he was wrong. Bruce Lee showed him something in 12 seconds that changed 45 years of certainty. Some versions exaggerate. Say Eddie's best fighter got knocked out. Say Bruce beat 5 guys. The usual distortion. But fighters who were there know the truth. 12 seconds of demonstration. One honest admission. One willingness to learn. No humiliation. No ego. Just professionals recognizing different approaches can both be valid, that mastery in one system doesn't mean others are invalid. That being wrong about one thing doesn't diminish everything else you know. Eddie never publicly talked about it, never gave interviews, just quietly integrated what he learned, made his fighters better. That was enough. Bruce never mentioned it either. Just another demonstration, Another opportunity to share knowledge with people willing to learn. 12 seconds that changed everything and nothing. The gym still trained boxers. Eddie still taught orthodox stance. Tommy still fought the way he'd always fought. But underneath, something shifted. An acknowledgement that combat is too complex for one perfect system, that effectiveness matters more than orthodoxy, that learning never stops regardless of how much you know or how long you've done something. 40 fighters witnessed it. That Thursday afternoon in February 1968. Most are gone now. Time takes everyone, but a few remain. Still training, still teaching, still remembering the day. Eddie Malone said someone's footwork was completely wrong for fighting, and 12 seconds later learned it was just completely different from what he knew. Sometimes that's the most important lesson. Understanding the critical difference between wrong and different, between broken and alternative, between failure and another path to the same destination. That lesson stayed with everyone present, shaped how they taught, how they learned, how they saw the world, all from 12 seconds of honest demonstration between two professionals who respected each other enough to learn instead of just fight. Subscribe, enable notifications, like the video, and comment below which Bruce Lee moment surprised you most.